Hi everyone, just wanted to check in with you to talk about a few things. First, the midterm exams. Second, midterm exam extra credit. And third, your upcoming essay. So let's talk about the midterm exams first. I posted your grades and you should see your essay along with my comments in the essay as well as the rubric with my comments in the rubric as well as your score for each part of the rubric as well as the final score. So please let me know if you don't see all of that in your assignment. You should be able just to go back into Canvas, click on your assignment, and it will be there. I just want to mention a couple things that I noticed in your exams. With respect to answering the question, you needed to answer the entire question, not just parts of the question, and you needed to give adequate details in your answers. So, for example, in the Chesapeake colony, you needed to explain their economic, which included their labor, political, and social systems. Some of you just mentioned indentured servants, some of you just kind of mentioned slavery, others of you did a much better job of that. Some of you didn't mention the headright system or the Bacon's Rebellion, which is the catalyst to the slavery system. So you want to make sure that you do that. Also, with respect to religion and relationship with Native Americans, that wasn't really very long. Just if you mentioned something about, their relationship with Native Americans, the Powhatans, the fact that it was a state-run Anglican religion, things like that. So be sure to go back and look at the lecture as well as any sources I provided. As far as New England, pretty much the same thing as Chesapeake. You want to make sure that you mention that it was a family labor system and then really describe the relationship with the Puritans. You want to mention Calvinism and how that was really the heart of their system. This whole obedience to parents, things like that. And with New England, religion was probably the most important thing in the development of this colony. So you want to make sure you talk about that. Then, of course, their conflicts with Native Americans. Give me a specific example, such as King Philip's War. And finally, the American Revolution. Some of you just talked about the People's Revolution, and then you kind of integrated it into the first part. But what I was really looking for was for you to talk about the revolution itself, such as the First Continental Congress, the Declaration of Independence, John Locke, and Thomas Paine and Common Sense. Those are the types of things that I was really looking for in this first part of the answer. And with respect to the People's Revolution, I was looking for the information from your source analysis. So for those of you who did your source analysis, you could have drawn directly from that. So what I wanted you to do is look at the definition of a People's Revolution. I gave that to you in your American Revolution source assignment. And then use those sources from that assignment to help answer that part of the question. And as for sources, that was another issue for many of you. You were supposed to cite all sources, whether it was the textbook or a source from your source analysis assignment or from Virtual Jamestown or what have you. But you were supposed to cite it both in the body of the essay and on the works cited page. Most of you, or many of you rather, cited just on the works cited page, but you needed to do both. So I didn't take off a lot of points for that because many of you didn't do that. So I'm not sure if you were just unclear about the directions or if you didn't know how or what the issue was, but I didn't really take off a lot of points for that. But I will on the upcoming essay, so make sure that you understand how to cite sources in MLA style. And as for anything else, that's written on the rubric. Essay organization really have mostly to do with transitions, maybe clear topic sentences, things of that nature. And then a clear thesis statement. You need to make a statement that summarizes your main point or summarizes the answer to your questions. Many of you are very vague or very generalized in your thesis statement. So some of you lost a few points there. Next, your midterm extra credit assignment. Your midterm extra credit assignment is located on the assignments link. Click on midterm extra credit. Okay, so your extra credit assignment is due by November 15th by 11:59 p.m. on Canvas, and it's worth 10 points. So your assignment is as follows. Correct 3 major comments made by me regarding your midterm essay. By major comments, I mean organization, details, evidence, etc. I do not mean spelling, grammar, punctuation, etc. You need to state what comments you are addressing and then make the changes in the text entry box, which is on the Canvas link, or on a separate Word document, and submit by the due date stated below, which again is November 15th by 11:59 p.m. If you are working in Google Docs, just be sure to export your document as a Word document. Just a special note, don't just say what you should have done, actually make the changes. For example, if I commented to you that you need a clear and concise thesis statement, write that on your document and then write a new thesis statement underneath it. Don't just say, I need a new thesis statement. Tell me where it goes and what that new thesis statement is. And don't just resubmit the entire essay. And as I said, this assignment is worth up to 10 points. The points will be added to your total points received at the end of the semester. So in other words, I'm not going to go back and add points to your midterm essay. You will receive extra credit points. So when I calculate your grade at the end of the semester, your extra credit points will be added into the amount of points you received, but not to the amount of points that are available in the class. So if you have any questions about that, just go back and look at my grading procedure in the syllabus. And finally, the essay assignment. Your essay is due on November 8th by 11:59 p.m. and it's worth 100 points. Here is the essay prompt. So you must submit an electronic version via Canvas by the due date. And I will provide comments on your essay electronically. If you are having trouble accessing Canvas, be sure to submit a copy of your essay to me via email. So I couldn't submit on Canvas, this will not be an excuse. You may send it to me via email if you are having trouble submitting on Canvas, but my preference is that you submit it on Canvas. And here's your directions. Based on your review of the Jackson Age Lecture, the U.S. textbook, meaning your U.S. history textbook for this course, and analysis of the Andrew Jackson sources provided on Canvas, see the PDF titled Jackson Sources, answer the essay question below. The essay question is, describe Andrew Jackson's life. Who was he? Include his background, policies, and views of Indians, banks, and the nullification crisis. Address every question. Be sure to answer every question in the prompt and define any terms used in the essay. Required sources. You must use all of the primary sources provided to you in the Jackson Sources PDF. Do not visit the library or the World Wide Web for additional sources. Failure to use the primary sources stated above will result in a significant deduction of points on your essay. Note, you may use the primary sources multiple times, but they only count once towards the 8 required. The length of your essay should be a minimum of 5 and no more than 6 pages. Must include an introduction. In the introduction, lay out for your reader the organizational plan for your essay, include any background information, state your main argument, which is your thesis. And you are encouraged to introduce the sources in the first paragraph of your essay so that your references are clear throughout. As for your thesis is a summary of your main points. It's the answer to the essay question. It needs to be specific. Include a minimum of 3 body paragraphs. Discuss your main points, including evidence, analysis, and how your evidence supports your thesis. Make sure you connect your evidence to your thesis statement. So you'll get your evidence from your sources. You'll get your evidence from the lecture, from the textbook, and from the Jackson Sources on the PDF. Make sure you cite all your sources. Be sure to cite all sources, not just the 8 required, using MLA-style citations. Be sure to cite in the text of the essay as well as on the works cited page. And make sure you include a works cited page. Not just your required sources, all of the sources you use, your textbook, your lecture, and then of course your primary sources. Make sure you include examples. Be sure to make specific reference to and cite specific examples from your reading and analysis of your sources as evidence to support your answer. Explain and provide details. I can't stress that enough. Include a conclusion. Part of your conclusion should be a restatement or some of your main points. Think for yourself. Answer the question with your own brain power in your own words. Don't just quote. Avoid personal sentiments. Avoid using the first person in personal sentiments such as I feel that or I believe that. Your essay should make an academic argument based on evidence, not opinion. This is not an opinion paper. This is an argumentative paper. If this were an opinion paper, then these sentiments might be appropriate. Write clearly and carefully. Check to see if every sentence makes sense. If you need help organizing your thoughts into words on paper, you're strongly encouraged to consult Palomar's on-campus writing center or me for assistance. You may also get the help of your parents or anyone else that may read your paper for you. It's always important that you have someone read your paper. You may also use the essay writing materials provided on Canvas. Poor spelling, syntax, punctuation, and grammar are often a sign of sloppiness and will weigh against your grade. Follow standard formatting. Your essay should be typewritten, Times New Roman, 12-point font, double-spaced with 1-inch margins. Submit as a Word document. I will not accept Mac pages. If you use Google Docs, export it as a Word document. I do this because Canvas is very sensitive to certain types of formats. It does not take Mac pages. So Word document is best. Again, if you use Google Docs, export it as a Word document. That way I can make comments directly on your essay on Canvas. And here is the rest of the information that you will need for your essay assignment. Here are the Jackson sources, numbers 2 through 5 and 8 through 12, and they're all in this PDF document. I've also provided some essay tools and resources such as a tutorial for essay writing. Let me look at that quickly. So if you want to, it really covers organization, such as introduction, main points, conclusion, writing a thesis statement, citations, and plagiarism. I've given you a sample essay question to work with. For example, explain progressivism and what a thesis statement is and what it's not. Thesis statement is not a description of your paper topic. For example, this paper describes progressivism. That's not a thesis statement. Thesis statement is not a question. For example, what is progressivism? Thesis statement is not an opinion. For example, I believe that progressivism is. I think that progressivism was a good idea. A thesis statement is an answer to the question, summary of main points. Thesis is specific. Here's an example. Progressivism was an era of economic and social reforms by American society in response to the perceived ills of U.S. industrialization and need to clean up society. This is a specific thesis statement that answers the essay question. I have some citation instruction as well as a video on plagiarism. Also, here is a site for MLA style citations. I provided this to you on the midterm as well. Make sure you check that. There is a handbook available in the Palomar Library. You might want to check your own local library or your school library to see if they have it if you prefer to use the book. Here's some other websites that you can use. The best one to me is Purdue OWL. Not a big fan of Nightsite, but you're welcome to look at it. And then there are some other information regarding MLA style, such as kind of different tips and how to cite and so forth. And then, of course, you can go to the Writing Center, which is located, if you look at this website, you can get information about that. And here is your rubric. And this gives you an indication of what types of things I score on. Of course, answering the question is the most important, therefore it does have the most points. And then making sure that you have the required sources, appropriate and clear grammar, spelling, etc. are also important. But make sure you take a look at this rubric before you start writing your essay. All right, if you have any questions, please let me know.